Yeah, thank you very much, Tabitha. Very good evening. If you've just joined us, of course, South Africa once again, despite some logistical challenges, managed to deliver an election that is seen as free and fair. The IEC just announced the first result in. That's a big step. It's going to be a long night of results. But I'm with the Cameroonian chairperson of elections, Dr. Fonkang Samuelazu. He's here to observe South Africa's election and make sure that the processes work. Very good evening to you, Dr. Fonkang. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you for having me.
Just give us a quick overview. How do you view what has happened in South Africa today?
Well, I think, first of all, we're very impressed with the early start. We observed in Arcadia, in Pretoria, and we're positively amazed to find out that well before 7 o'clock, we had long queues of voters who were waiting patiently and enthusiastically on the queues. We spent quite a lot of time in the first polling station where we observed the putting in place of all the logistics. And I dare say that the staff of the IEC showed proof of having been well trained. And we noticed also that the layout of the hall was very user-friendly. In the polling station where we observed 4 people could be attended to at once. Yeah. So most of the logistical arrangements for us seemed really good. And we proceeded on to Soweto, where we spent a lot of time as well, observing what things were done. I think the peaceful atmosphere, the enthusiasm of the voters is something that impressed us. We noticed, unlike in Cameroon, that you have far bigger polling stations. Your polling stations attend to far more voters than in our country. The maximum in my country is 500. We noticed that most of those polling stations will have upwards of 2,000 persons voting. But in terms of the logistics that were put in place, the exercise went on fairly smoothly. And I think I dare congratulate my colleague here and the commissioners for the work that has been done. I first observed elections here in your country in 2009. From 2009 to now, I think quite a lot of progress has been made.
Just stay with me, Dr. Fonkang. I just want to tell you, as you can understand, things are happening here. We've got, well, all the leaders. Musi Mamani has just come in. I saw Gwede Mantashe is here. All the other political parties are represented. We'll bring you all of those. But let's continue with this interview. I wanted to ask you about the logistical difficulty of pulling off such a massive, massive event. I don't think people realize how difficult such a process really is.
It is difficult. It is difficult because, you see, for us who organize elections, it all happens within a couple of hours. All the planning, if you get the last few hours wrong, everything goes wrong. And when you have a country as big as yours, to be able to bring together all of these polling stations, to make sure that all of the lists that go to a particular polling station are the same. Yeah. It takes some planning, and it takes some know-how to be able to put all of this together. And that is why I said we're pleased with what we saw, and we must take note of the fact that no perfect elections are organized anywhere in the world. Be it in the developed world, be it in us, the developing world. No perfect elections are organized because we are not perfect human beings. Yeah, so we can't organize perfect elections. We strive to perfect our acts, to be able to continue to make progress. And as I said earlier on, from what we saw in 2009 and from what we're seeing now, I think we're all continuing to grow in what we're doing.
I want to ask you about the wider message that a peaceful election in South Africa sends to the rest of Africa, but also to the wider world, and how important do you think it is for the region that a country like South Africa sets a good example at the polls?
Good message for Africa. Because regrettably, we're a continent where people are used to bad news, where people are more interested in bad news than in good news. So when we see elections organized in a big country like yours, which is not a very old democracy, when we see these things being well done, when we see progress being made steadily, I think it is good news for all of Africa, because each time an election is organized badly, each time an electoral outcome is bad in any of our countries, it's bad news for the whole continent. And so we're not doing badly at all. In terms of even the use of ICTs, we're doing much better than some of the older democracies.
Dr. Funke, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for coming to South Africa to observe our elections with your team. It's wonderful to hear the good news that you're sharing with us. Of course, the results are starting to come in. There we have it on the board. EC 123 Great Kai was the first one in. There you see the votes via, well, numbers of support and the like. At the moment, we see wards coming in, votes leading and so forth. This is a process that's going to carry on for most of the evening, as you can imagine. The first one, a ward in the Great Kai, I think it was ward number 8, if I call it correctly. 22 votes in a very small one. That's probably why it is the first one. And of course, the presiding officers at all of these voting stations, they almost have a little competition amongst themselves as to how and who gets the first result in. Well, the first result came in from the Eastern Cape. Of course, the Eastern Cape is seen as almost a frontier province in a way, because the election is expected to be so close there. The results are continuing coming in, as you can see here behind me. Full support from all the political parties. DA leader Musi Mamani has just come in, causing quite a bit of a stir. There are other leaders here, so Gwede Mantashe, we'll try and speak to them in a short while, but let's go back. Let's go back to Tabile. Will take us to Limpopo, I think.